Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. I'm Frank Wander, founder and CEO of People Productive, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Terri Mays, a certified culture engineer. I'm glad you're able to join us for this series on innovation. We're looking at all those different human factors of innovation. Why is it that companies struggle to innovate? And what should companies be doing about it? This journey through 14 episodes lays out really all these different human factors and how they come into play to really unlock an innovative culture. And so today we're really covering episode 3, maintaining an external focus. Companies tend to be very internally focused. People do not do external focus well. This is not also an area that has been broadly researched, but we know that you need to have an external focus across all the different disciplines in your company. Not that everybody's looking outside, but you need people responsible for looking at what's happening in the world outside them, because companies get caught up on what they do and they can be very focused on their legacy of what they built and how it works, and all the focus is on that while the world is moving in a different direction or potentially a big trend emerging that you're missing early on. And so, Tara, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so you've got to have people that are heads down. They're internally focused on what we're doing now, how we're building, where we're going in the short term,
Uh-huh.
even in some long-term goals. But you absolutely must have people that are looking at what's next, and even beyond that. You cannot have your entire team focused on what you're doing now, because you will get behind. You will constantly be behind the game, behind your competitors, behind
Mhm.
everybody else, and you're playing that game of catch up. And playing that game of catch up is difficult. It is extremely hard to continue to stay in that space where you're trying to do things that your competitors have already done. You're late to the party.
Yeah.
And the way you avoid that is by having people that are externally focused, that have connections at other organizations, that, these aren't spies, but they are people that have built some really good, trusting, working relationships with people outside of their organization, so they can have those types of discussions about what's coming next. You need information from analysts. You need a wide variety of people that are looking at different aspects of the business. So, not just technology focused, but in every aspect of the business, you need people that are looking at what's coming at us next. Where are the potential places for us to go with this model that we have, with this business that we have, with this technology that we are currently using? Which technology is going to be next? Which how can we evolve our solution over time to be even better? You need people thinking about that, because otherwise you're just going to get left behind, and your competitors will just run right past you with all of their new innovation.
And
You you will never be innovative if you
yeah,
continue to just focus on what I'm doing now and improving just what I'm doing now.
and I
You've got
think it's very important, Tara, that they're really not just focused on product and what are our direct competitors doing.
right.
Because in a company, you have an IT division. We used to always get briefings from all the big vendors on where they were going, what their strategy
Mhm,
was, what might be
mhm.
coming. We had a bunch of tech folks that really, they love technology. So they were staying abreast of stuff, of what was happening.
Yeah,
And so being able to identify what's coming that could be applied in the company to maybe create more operational effectiveness. Maybe it's things that would improve service. But this is a cross-disciplinary responsibility. Sales should be seeing how is sales evolving? How's sales technology evolving? A lot of sales organizations have started embracing AI. And you've got to look at all the different parts of your business, and people should be externally focused, trying to see, hey, what's coming? What are the big trends? Like, no one thought Amazon was going to become the largest provider of
right.
cloud data centers. I mean, things come out of nowhere that just change the game, and they revolutionize the entire, market, really.
Yeah.
So you got to be aware, heads up. I think people are too internally focused, and then they wonder why they can't innovate, because they're not thinking innovative at all. They're not seeing what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to be thinking ahead. You've got to focus in on where you're going. And I think how innovative your company can be is really tied directly with your internal strategies, the culture in your organization, all those things where we laid out those human factors, and we did the building
Yeah.
blocks with the
Mhm.
previous series that we just finished. Really show that level of innovation shows the strength of the foundation that you have in your organization. If you don't have your foundational pieces set where people feel like their needs are being met, where they have a high structured, high performing environment that they're working in,
Mhm.
your innovation will lack. It will just lack. You will not be able to get to the places you need to get to and to be an externally focused organization if you cannot do some of the basic things. So, a lot of what we talk about on this show are really just building blocks, and
Mhm.
leverage what you learned in a previous show in the next step. So, this is that next step in the evolution. Am I able to get my company to the place where we can do well with the things that we're working on now, but we're also thinking ahead to the future? And in order to do that, to think ahead to the future, you've got to have vision. You've got to have strategy. You got to know where you're trying to go
Mhm.
so that you can narrow your focus and really begin to lean into those key points that you're trying to achieve. Maybe you have certain people focused in, like Frank talked about, in sales innovation. You may have somebody else focused on technology innovation. But when you know what your company underlying goals are and what you're trying to do, then you can narrow your focus in those areas, and you have people that can spend the time doing the research and exploring options,
Mhm.
working with different suppliers, going to see some of those demos. That's where all of that comes into play. One thing that I like and I don't like about attending conferences is they always have these big expo halls full of suppliers that can provide
Yep.
all
Too
these
much
different
almost.
services. It's a lot. But that's where you want your people to go, actually. It's an easy way, low stress way to go in and find out what's next. Because in all of those big conferences, they have the latest and greatest folks that are in that room. And so
Yeah.
it's a way for you to help people stay connected with what's coming next. And the more you go to those trade shows and you start to see, all these different conventions, you see all the different ways technology is being used now and what's next. So it's a great way to get your people exposed. Sometimes you struggle with, how do I find this information? How do I know what's next? A great way is through attending conferences and events where they have these expos, so you can get people exposed to different things.
I always found that there were people who really cared about what was coming in, the different organizations I ran over time. And, finding them and really rewarding them and encouraging that behavior is great because they just like to know what's coming. They like new stuff. And other people like, to be in a controlled environment, right? They like, please don't move my cheese. They're
Hmm.
great operations people, but they're not thinking about the future generally. There are people who are more future oriented and externally oriented, and finding who those people are and, giving them some recognition for doing that, leveraging that skill and that desire is a great way for every part of the company to really start to, evolve and understand where things may be going because it's all about what might be happening. There's
Yeah.
always a lot of stuff out there that is coming that really turns out not to be as big as everybody thought it was going to be because the hype kind of overrates it.
Yeah.
And
There's a
so,
great deal of risk associated with being out there on the fringe, when you're out there and you're trying something new that nobody has done before. There's
yeah,
a lot of risk associated with that. So you really do need to have a strong, healthy organization that's backing you up as you're trying to step out there and do some things that maybe haven't been done before, or very few have done it before.
yeah, 100%. But external focus is a culture. You've got to reward that type of behavior. It's very valuable when people start to really think what's going on in the outside world. How's that going to impact us? Companies have to be externally focused in this day and age because things move so quickly. They've got to see both the threats and the opportunities that are coming. They should have people across the organization at every level really thinking about the outside world, competitors, emerging technologies, maybe geopolitical and regulatory changes that are coming. The landscape is always changing when you're in business, and it's moving faster than ever. So it's very easy to get caught up with all the work that change brings constantly and to lose sight of what's going on in the world around you. And so if you want to build an externally focused culture, you've got to reward that type of behavior and encourage it.
Yeah.
And those folks that love new stuff, they'll be out there looking, and then you got to mine it and get all those good ideas and, collect them and put them to use. That's a different episode.
Yeah. You're looking for those people in your organization that are just naturally curious about things.
Yeah.
That love learning.
Curiosity. Yep.
They love just going out and exploring and learning new things, not necessarily because it's part of their job. You want that person that's just naturally curious, because they're going to go and ask the questions and keep digging and digging and digging until they find, some gold mine. So that's the kind of person that you want externally focused. Somebody that's good with other people, that, can build relationships well. You need somebody that's, highly skilled in relationship building, because you've got to work with others. You got to have some conversations. Got to be able to talk to people and be friendly and be open. So you really do, you want that curious person. You really want that curious person going out there to try to see what's happening next, and somebody that can actually do the research, somebody that's excited to do the research, right? Because how you feel about a thing is how you're going to do a thing. So if they're not really into researching and going,
oh, pardon me.
Oh, bless you. Doing all these.
That felt good though.
Yeah. You don't want to get somebody that doesn't want to go to trade shows and seeing all the different demos and stuff. You want to get somebody that's excited about that.
Yeah.
So that they take a really healthy approach to it, a really innovative, creative approach to doing things, and not just, think about, oh, well, we would never change because we always do it this way. You don't want that person going out as your externally focused person.
And, curious people bring up tons of ideas, which is why in episode 10, we're going to be going over idea, capture, valuation, and approval. How do you really take all this stuff, a lot of which may be noise, and find the nuggets that are going to make a difference in your company? Where do you spend the time, energy, effort, and money? And so that's an important part of being innovative. It's not just finding a lot of things. There's so much going on. A lot of it doesn't have real value, at least not for the near term. Right. Anyway, so this is an absolutely great series. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about strategy as a journey. So there was, you've built this innovative culture. You've identified an outside threat. You've putting together a strategy. Now, how do you turn that into a journey to keep everybody's mind engaged and in gear? And we'll be talking about that in the next episode. Remember, we're here every Wednesday, 3:00 Eastern time. Another episode. We got 14 of these episodes on building an innovative culture. Super important. If you can be both productive and innovative, you're going to win. You're going to survive what's coming. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's key. But certainly love to thank you for coming, and hope to see you on the upcoming episodes.
Yes.
Take care.